Abner stretched out his hand and drove out the old lady Shoe Lickin'. Shoe Lickin' cried bitterly and said, You also let me go home and pack 2 clothes. Abner said coldly, You are looking for an old lady and want to go home and pack your clothes. I will save you a lot of face if I don't take 2 of them off you. If you're FC King nonsense, I'll strip you and throw it away. When Shoe Lickin' heard this, she didn't dare to speak any more. She could only be framed by Abner like a dead dog. Seeing that Shoe Lickin' was taken away, Orville pointed at Bella, hooked his hands and said, Come here. Bella didn't want 1 million people in her heart, but at this time she didn't dare to disobey Orville at all. Only person came to the front, the voice trembled. Mr. Orville. Orville. Orville nodded, pointed to her and son DeWang, and said to the staff of the Civil Affairs Bureau, Come, get a marriage certificate for them both. The staff member asked dumbfounded, Huh? Give them a marriage certificate? Yes. Orville said, It's them, do it now. While the staff were surprised, they couldn't help but strengthen their views. This 50-year-old son DeWang is indeed a fighter among the scumbags. He brought his wife and his new love to the Civil Affairs Bureau together and handled the divorce. And marriage procedures, is this an old thing or a person? This staff member is a little girl, so she is very uncomfortable with scumbags. She can understand the kind of tall and handsome scumbags. After all, they have good looks and capital, but son DeWang is already 50 plus. At 60 years old, people don't talk about it, and they look ugly, but she didn't expect to be so scumbag. Why? Although she was very dissatisfied with the old master in her heart, the little girl still didn't dare to show it directly, so she could only go through the formalities for the marriage of him and Bella angrily. Before applying for a marriage certificate, you must first take a wedding photo. Therefore, the 2 people looked like a father and a daughter, and they had to stand side by side in front of the red curtain and took a wedding photo. Bella's face was very ugly, even though there were tens of millions of dissatisfaction in her heart, she did not dare to show it at this time. Son DeWang was in a complicated mood, and the most melancholy right now was what should the child in Bella's belly do? Or, after going home, persuade her to beat the child? At this moment, Shui Xinlong said to son DeWang with a depressed expression, Old man, I will not say anything about this matter today, but in the future, you must treat my daughter in every possible way. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude to you. Son DeWang hurriedly said, President Shui, don't worry, I will definitely go all out. Shui Xinlong said again, Besides, the child in my daughter's belly can't be killed if she says anything, otherwise, I won't forgive you. Have you heard? Son DeWang felt depressed. Isn't it just a wild species? Why are you not allowed to fight? What else can this wild species do except to shame him? However, he did not dare to disobey Shui Xinlong. After all, Shui Xinlong took care of his business. If he really provokes him, it is estimated that the income of the entire Sun family will be greatly affected. So he can only nod his head and agree. He said, President Shui, don't worry, I will definitely not let her kill the child in Bella's stomach. Shui Xinlong was relieved and said, After the baby is born, if you don't want to, you can give it to me. We are the old couple. That's great. Son DeWang finally breathed a sigh of relief when he heard this. At this time, the staff greeted the 2 of them and went to the counter to apply for marriage certificates. Bella is 26 years old this year, and son DeWang is 52 years old this year. The difference between the 2 is exactly twice as long. The little girl who was in charge of giving them the testimony made her teeth tickled with anger while handing them the certificate. After the certificate was issued, Orville smiled slightly and said, Okay, since the 2 couples are busy with getting the marriage certificate, let's hurry back to the hotel. Mr. Wade is still waiting to drink your wedding wine. So the 4 of them could only follow Orville and return to Hilton. At this time, the banquet hall of Hilton was full of friends from the Sun family. Charlie took his wife Claire and sat on the table closest to the stage. Sitting on the same table with him is Isaac. After Mr. Orville brought the 2 couples back, he ran over to return to Charlie. Charlie heard that they had already received their marriage certificates, nodded in satisfaction, and said, "I think the time is almost the same. Let's start the wedding as soon as possible." Mr. Orville said hurriedly, "Shui Xinlong has already gone to find a wedding dress for daughter." At 11:58, the wedding started on time. Charlie nodded in satisfaction, and smiled and said, "Today is really auspicious for Sun Dewang's old thing. He got rid of a yellow-faced woman, married a young one, and still buy the big one and get the small one. In a few months, you can be a dad." "Yeah," Orville said with a smile, "Mr. Wade still has the means. This arrangement is really perfect." Charlie smiled slightly and said, "This person, no matter how capable, don't look down on other people casually. If Sun Dewang and Shu Liqin weren't looking down on their future daughter-in-law, they would not cause so many things today. I hope these two people can learn more in the future." Mr. Orville nodded and said, "Mr. Wade, what you said." Claire on the side watched Charlie's beautiful eyes flow. Although she also feels that her husband's play today is indeed a bit weird, or even overkill. But after hearing what he said just now, she felt that what he did was really pleasing. Ordinary people may not think of such a solution. This shows that her husband still has a bit of skill and spirit that ordinary people don't have. Thinking of Warnya, the eldest of the Song family, when she saw her husband Charlie in the bridal shop, she suddenly felt that her husband now seemed to be very different from before, and he began to exude a fatal attraction to women.